Hello students, how are you all today? Welcome back to the geography class. Today we will continue with the chapter Resources and Development. We've completed learning land as a resource. You all have seen land degradation and land conservation. You all even saw the factors of land degradation. Today we will learn about soil and soil as a resource. Let's continue. Soil. It is the most important renewable natural resource. It is a medium of plant growth and it also supports different types of living organisms. The soil is a living system. So the uppermost layer of the earth's crust, which is loose, broken, and it is useful for plants, it is called soil. Soil consists of mineral matter such as sand, clay, and it also consists of organic matter such as humus, bacteria, and earthworms. There are many factors in the formation of soil. Okay, depends on the parent rock that broke. Okay, the climate, the vegetation, and also the other forms of life. Many forces of nature, such as change in temperature, actions of the running water, wind and glaciers, and decomposers, all these contribute to form a soil. So how is soil formed? It is mainly due to the process of weathering. Because of weathering, a layer of loose rock is formed on the land surface. If this layer of loose rocks remains undisturbed for a very long period of time, then physical, chemical, and organic changes take place in it. And these changes lead to the formation of soil. So which factors influence the soil formation? Climate, topography, nature of the parent rock, and vegetation. The climate decides the rate of weathering and the type of vegetation. Topography of the land decides the accumulation of soil. Nature of parent rock decides the composition and the texture of the soil, and vegetation decides the amount of humus available in the soil. So these are the four factors that play an important role in formation of the soil. Why is soil very important? Now, man depends on soil directly or indirectly for his food. Agriculture can also only be practiced if soil is available. Now, man gets all the material he needs for shelter or clothing, again, indirectly or indirectly from soil. And soil is also very essential for the growth of forest. Now, if you remember these four reasons, the four factors which influence soil, so depending on these factors of soil formation and the color, thickness, texture, age, and chemical and physical properties, soil are divided into different types. The most commonly widespread soil is alluvial soil. Okay, it is the most fertile and it is most widespread through India. It is formed due to deposition of fine silt, that's also called alluvium, by the rivers. It is commonly found in the northern plains Gujarat and Rajasthan plains, and the eastern coastal plains. Okay, in the eastern coastal plains, it is particularly found in the deltas of Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri rivers. The soil consists of different proportions of sand, silt, and clay. Now, as and when you all will go towards the river valley, the soil particles are bigger in size. And wherever these rivers, while going down the slope, when they break, okay, near the places of break in the slope, the soil is coarse, it is rough. Now, according to the age of this alluvial soil, depending on its age, it is divided into further two parts, that is Khaddar and Bangar. Bangar means new alluvial. Sorry, Bangar means old alluvial and Khaddar means new alluvial. Bangar, that is the old alluvial, it has higher concentration of conker nodules. Okay, and Khaddar, that is the new alluvial soil, it has more fine or small particle, and so it is more fertile than Bangar. So now we all know what is alluvial soil. It is overall a very fertile soil, and it contains most proportions of potash, phosphoric acid, and lime. And these three are ideal, they are the best for the growth of sugarcane, rice, wheat, and other cereal and pulse crops. Now, since this soil is very fertile, it is intensively cultivated, and because of that, the regions of these soils are densely populated. Okay. Next, we come to black soil. The soil is black in color, and so it is also known as Regur soil. This is ideal for growing cotton crop, and so it is often also called black cotton soil. It is made up of extremely fine clayey material, and it has a good capacity to hold moisture for a long time. During the summer season, this kind of soil develops deep cracks. Okay, and because of these deep cracks, it helps in aeration of the oil. Now, this soil is very sticky and is mainly found in the Deccan Trap region of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Formation of this soil is mainly due to weathering of the volcanic rocks. And this soil is very rich in potash, calcium, carbonate, very rich in potash, calcium carbonate, magnesium, and lime. It is poor in its phosphoric content. Okay. Now, as these soils are very sticky and wet, they're very difficult to work on. So they should be tilled periodically. Okay, especially after the first shower and in the pre-monsoon season, they are very thoroughly tilled. Red soil, we'll talk about red and yellow soil now. These develop on crystalline igneous rocks, especially in the areas of low rainfall. And this is mostly in the eastern and southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. It is red in color because of the presence of iron in it, and it looks yellow when it is in the hydrated form. Okay. Now, it is found in Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Jharkhand. So basically, this soil, it develops a red color because of the iron in the metamorphic and crystalline rocks. Because these rocks have iron, due to the reaction, they look red in color. And when they are thoroughly hydrated, when they're thoroughly wet, it looks yellow. Laterite soil. Now, laterite, this term, derives from the word latter. It's a Latin word, latter. And latter means brick. This soil develops in tropical and subtropical climate where there is alternate wet and dry season. Okay. So this soil is actually a result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. And heavy rain happens in the tropical rainfall during the tropical areas. So due to heavy rain, intense leaching happens, which helps in formation of laterite soil. Laterite soils are mostly deep to very deep, acidic in nature. And they are generally deficient. They don't have enough plant nutrients. But if this soil supports deciduous and evergreen forest, it becomes humus rich. But in sparse vegetation, it is generally humus poor. Now, humus content is less because the microorganisms get destroyed due to the high temperature. This soil can be cultivated using manure and fertilizers. It is good for the cultivation of tea, coffee, and cashew nut. And if you know, tea, coffee, and cashew nut are mainly found in Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, and Assam. So if you adopt the appropriate soil conservation techniques, you can cultivate this soil. But these soils, they are prone to erosion and degradation due to their position on the landscape. Arid soils. Now they are normally red to brown in color. They're sandy in texture and saline in nature. In some areas, the salt content in the soil is very, very high. And so you can get common salt by evaporating the water. Anyways, due to the dry climate and high temperatures, evaporation is faster, and so the soil will lack humus and moisture. Humus and moisture contents are very less. So these kind of soil can only be cultivated after thorough irrigation. Then the lower layers of the soil, okay, they are occupied by the conchers, and because they're occupied because with the conchers because of the increase in the calcium content downward, because lots of calcium gets accumulated down, and these calcium, they will form these chunks which become conchers. And because there are so many conchers in the lower layer of the soil, uh, the water infiltration decreases, and the concher layer formation in the bottom horizon restricts the absorption of water into the soil. So even after doing lots of correct technique of irrigation, the soil can become cultivable, and we have seen it in the western Rajasthan. We come to the next topic, forest soil. These are the soils that are found in the hilly and mountainous areas, and sufficient rain and forest is available. So they are normally in the mountain areas and sufficient rainforest is available. The soil textures varies depending on the mountain environment where they are found. It can be loamy and silty in the valley side, and they can also be coarse grained in the upper slopes. It depends on the mountain environment. So these are normally found in the hilly and mountainous region. So in the snow-covered mountains of Himalayas, the soil experience denudation and are acidic with low humus content. The soil found in the lower parts of the valley, particularly near the river terraces, the alluvial fans are fertile. So in the lower slopes of the valley, it becomes fertile. But if you look at it in the snow-covered places, no, it is not fertile there. They are high acidic because of the low humus content. Now, what is soil erosion? The removal of topsoil. The removal of the top layer of soil from one place to another by natural agencies is called soil erosion. So the denudation of the soil cover and subsequent or repeated washing down is described as soil erosion. Now this entire process of soil formation and soil erosion, they go simultaneously together, and generally there is some balance between these two. Now sometimes due to human activities, due to us, like we do deforestation and we do overgrazing, we start construction and mining work. Because of all this, and also there are natural forces like wind, glaciers, water, and soil erosion. Because of all of this together, that is natural and human, both reasons, the soil erosion happens faster. The running water cuts through the clayey soils and they make deep channels as gullies. They make deep channels as gullies. Okay, so this is one table that I want you all to make in your notebooks. I want you all to, the first column over here should be name. I'm sorry for this mistake. Just correct it. It should be name over here. Okay. So you will put name, soil name over here. All right. And all the names, then you will write the factor of formation. You will write the components of that soil. You will write the places found. And if there is any other information about that soil that is important to remember, you will add it in the features box over here. Yes. So I want you all to do this. And if possible, if you all can draw or color these soils in your notebook. Okay. Either you can draw color or you can stick. Whatever option is comfortable for you, I am okay with both. So this you will complete as homework. Okay, we were talking about soil erosion and I was talking about the gullies. When the running water cuts through the clay soils and they make deep channels, and these channels are called gullies. Now, this land will become unfit for cultivation and it will be known as bad land. bad. Okay, so a land which is broken into many small parts by the gullies is called bad land. And a bad land is unfit for cultivation and other economic activity. So this type of erosion that happens due to rainwater moving down on an uneven landscape and form deep channels called gullies. This type of erosion is called gully erosion. Okay, another, see, these are some examples of gully erosion, like you can see right here. You can see out here. This is due to the water that was running through and it has cut through the soil. So in the Chambal valleys, the Chambal basin, these kind of land are called ravines. Okay, sometimes now the water also flows as a sheet over large area down a slope. Sometimes water flows. So this is Chambal Valley. This is the badland of Chambal Valley, and this is also called ravine. Now, sometimes the water flows as an entire sheet over large areas down a slope. So in these kind of areas, the top soil gets washed away. Okay, and so this kind of an erosion is called sheet erosion. So when the water flows as a sheet over a large area and the entire topsoil gets flown away, it's known as, the entire topsoil gets washed away, it is known as sheet erosion. And when they become small deep gullies in the middle of the land, it's called gully erosion. Okay, now when the wind blows and loose soil gets flown away, it's called wind erosion. And soil erosion is also caused due to some defective methods of farming. Soil erosion is also caused due to some wrong ways of farming. So if you start plowing in the wrong way, okay, it will create soil erosion. It will help in soil erosion. Now, plowing along the contour lines can decelerate, that is, slow down the flow of water down the slope. So if you have contour plowing, like you can see in this picture, like you can see the water is still over there, it is not flowing down. So this kind of plowing is called contour plowing. Steps are cut out on the slopes and they make terraces. And this terrace cultivation, it restricts or prevents erosion. Most of the western and central Himalayas, they have well-developed terrace farming. So most of the hilly areas, terrace farming should be practiced. So the large field is divided into strips. Strips of grass are left to grow between the crops. This breaks the force of wind, and this method is known as strip cropping. Look at this. This is strip cropping. So what happens in large fields? The fields are divided into strips, and strips of grass are left to grow between the crops. So between two crops, you will see some strip of grass that is growing. Now, because of this, it breaks up the force of the wind, and since it breaks the force of the wind, it helps in the growth of crops and it prevents the soil erosion. So the soil will not get blown away because in the middle, that particular strip of grass that is growing, it is not as tall as the crop around it. So it will not help, it will not aid in wind erosion. So this kind of method of farming is called strip farming. Planting lines of trees to create a shelter, planting lines of trees to create a shelter also works in a similar manner. Rows of trees, rows of such trees, when they are grown together, these become shelter belts. So in this picture, you can see shelter belts of plants around the fields, and this also helps in reduction of soil erosion. These shelter belts have contributed significantly for the stabilization of sand dunes and stabilizing the desert in Western India. There are two more reasons how we can conserve soil. We've seen 4 up till now. You also saw contour plowing, and you also saw terrace farming, strip farming, shelter belts, and the next is afforestation. That means planting more trees, because planting trees will help in conservation of the soil, and planting trees on a large scale will help in conserving the soil. And of course, we should stop deforestation. And the next one is overgrazing by animals should also be avoided. When these animals are grazing, you see they overgraze it, so the soil becomes loose, and then it is more easy for that soil to either be eroded due to sand or water. So overgrazing of animals should also be reduced. Now, in your textbooks, we have some questions. Okay, question number 2 on page number 13. I want you all to do those questions. You're just going to do question 2 and question 3. Question 2 has 4 subparts and question 3 has 2 subparts. You're going to answer these 2 questions in your notebooks. With this, we end this chapter here. There is a it's not a crossword, it's a word game on page number 13 of your textbook again. You can even solve that in your textbook itself. With this, we will stop this class. I hope you all have understood this chapter. Stay home, stay safe. And about the notes, whenever I give you all a question to complete, if you all have already done it in your notebook in some other form, you all don't need to repeat it. If it's not done, only then you do it in your notebook. Okay? So with this, we end this chapter. Next class, we'll start a new chapter. So till then, stay home and stay safe.